All right. Roll call, please.
Alderman Barilla.
Here.
Alderman Collins.
Here.
Alderman Hoffman.
Here.
Alderman Rucker.
Here.
Alderman Rose.
Here.
Alderman Osteen. Mayor Harmson.
Here. All right. So you know where that was. Oh, right there. All right. All right. We do have a quorum. I'm just gonna turn this over to our city administrator, Devin Lake.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I have given a agenda. Sorry, I'm clearly not ready for this. Okay, I gave you guys a agenda for today. I attached a couple of documents to the back of the agenda that are the more, I would say, more important documents in the budget. The first one is the capital ranking sheet. There has been some changes to that since our last budget workshop due to funding issues. There's been some reduced amounts, as well as a couple of things that are now not budgeted that were originally. The second page is the employee pay plan that takes into account the 2.6% COLA. So that will be the new pay ranges.
Sorry, Devin. Where are you? What page you on?
There'll be pages, starting in page 5, are the supplemental documents.
Front to back, 1, 2, 3.
No, not front to back pages. So that's the capital ranking sheet
Okay.
that's updated.
All right.
We'll go over that later on in the presentation. The next one is the employee pay plan. That's showing with the 2.6% COLA. So those will be the new pay ranges for those positions. The next page is the capital outlay for all the capital projects that are budgeted. That's a 2-page document. Then there's the personnel schedule with the full-time employees and the part-time employees for a total head count for 26 at 142 employees. Then the back page is the all-fund summary. That's probably the most condensed version of what the budget looks like currently. So I just wanted to share those documents. We'll be going through those throughout the presentation. But the first thing we're going to hit on is the enterprise equity lease plan. Both Jeff and Chief have discussed their needs on vehicles with enterprise and received proposals for those. So I'll let Chief speak on his, and then Jeff can take over and talk about engineering, transportation, water, and sewer.
So we originally budgeted to replace 6 patrol vehicles and add 1 vehicle, and that replacement cost was going to be $398,415. Through enterprise equity lease, we can purchase or use it, replace those 7 vehicles or 6 vehicles, and the addition of 1 for $157,360. That is $87,360 for the lease and $10,000 a vehicle for $70,000 for the equipment to go in those vehicles. So in 2026, our max cost would be $157,360. That could go down because if we ordered those vehicles January 1, we probably won't receive them until second quarter. So that would actually take the annual cost of the $87,360 down to, if we say we got them in April, $65,520. So that would drop it by that's some savings. For the police department, there is no maintenance plan available for law enforcement leases, like there is for some of the other departments. This is an option that helps us cut the budget down a little bit. We recommend it.
Would we be selling some vehicles too?
Yes, we would be selling 6 vehicles. We anticipate this first year that we would get approximately $15,500 for the vehicles that we currently own to go back into it. All those vehicles have over 100,000 miles on them. In year two, we're looking at replacing 5 more vehicles, and our anticipated sales from that year would be 48,600 for some newer vehicles. The money that we can go back, the money that we get in equity, we can take and reduce it from the cost of our additional vehicles that we would get that year, or we can roll it over and use it for equipment and so on. Take that, roll those
Jeff, do you want to talk about public works and engineering?
Sure. Basically the program that we would propose to enterprise is accelerating replacements. So what was proposed was based on the 5-year CIP, if you remember that. The enterprise is basically recommended based on the market and value of the assets you have now. Let's expedite some of those, and that's why you see an increase in transportation. And all of that in transportation, for example, includes the equipment, plows, spreaders. We are not certain that we'll do that in all cases. We will probably be a little bit more strategic about that. Not all of our plows and spreaders, most of them are in good condition actually. So instead of trying to upfit all of them new, we'll use existing and maybe replace one per year, per year. So we'll manage that. I'd like to keep it the way it is because it's still have winter to get through. So we can blow up a plow or spreader go down or anything could happen. So I want to keep this down worst case if we can. Engineering, it's just the difference between 80,000 and 30,000, the difference between selling and buying versus the equity lease. But in each case, it's, as Kevin points out in here, we're capturing the sale too. So those are net costs. So went up in transportation, most of the cases the equity, and then went down in all other cases. And then I have 5-year projections that are soft right now. I've been working pretty quickly with enterprise. Getting you something you can digest. I feel good about it based on my experiences in the past. So it's a pretty solid plan.
Jeff, you might want to do what the maintenance includes?
Oh, yeah, the maintenance, I have not used the maintenance program in my past. I like it in this case because, as we know, we're not organized around maintenance. We have people doing the best they can, we're not mechanics. We don't have bays, we don't have a building, we don't have equipment other than to replace, do an oil change, replace a tire, maybe some brakes. That's just because we have people on the team that don't have that know-how. We don't have City Hall, the city doesn't have mechanics. So everybody is outsourcing most of their work. And if I use 3 or 4 different vendors, local vendors, this maintenance package basically, anything goes wrong except tires and brakes, they cover it. Everything gets done through them. We likely won't need tires or brakes, we won't keep them. So that's what
Jeff, what would you project the enterprise to be if you would change your plows and your spreaders out every other time?
Good question.
I mean, I know you can't guarantee that you're gonna do them every time, you can't guarantee every other time, but you've gotta, but if it's obvious, you feel you don't need to do it every time.
What's a spreader and plow?
Probably closer to like 30,000.
And that depends on the size of the vehicle, of course, but yeah, 30,000, so we got 6 trucks there, so it'd be comfortably cut that in half. Cut that in half, maybe 60,000 a year.
is it something in-house you can change the spreader and the plow pretty easy? I mean, you just gotta take the mount off the front, put it on the other. Is that something you guys would do in-house, or is that something you'd have to do?
Rob, what do you think?
The trucks will be already equipped for that, so if we purchase a truck, that purchase a plow, and then it'll be ready already.
Well, I'm
We don't
talking
have to
about,
do
you're talking
it
about using the plows from not purchasing
Oh,
new plows.
For previous, like,
Yeah.
no, yeah, we do it in-house. Correct.
Does anybody else have any questions on the enterprise? That is what the numbers you see on this sheet is what is currently in the budget. So would the board like to keep it as and move forward with enterprise leasing for fiscal year 26, or would we like to go back to the original proposed budget?
Is my math correct in that the enterprise is about $500,000 less than,
I didn't add them all together.
okay,
I just did them per department.
If you don't mind, I'll say that will change year to year. You might have a year where it's $500,000 less, and it might be $100,000 less the next year, depending on how many vehicles we're flowing through every year.
I get it. Yeah, I was just talking specifically about next year.
I'm all good with enterprise.
Same.
Okay. If that is the board's direction, then we will keep it the way it is. Okay, next item is, I know it had been discussed at the previous board meeting about leasing the ambulance. I have cut that purchase out of the ambulance budget for the new ambulance, but Chief has some information on leasing that vehicle.
So, just a little recap a little bit. If we would order the ambulance in January, we would not take delivery until third quarter of 2027. That's how far out it is. So if we order it now, we would lock everything in with the chassis. Right now, the chassis are right around $91,600. Is the quote that we have. But with that, we were asked to look into leasing it for just the one company that Osage Ambulance works with. They gave us two options: a 3-year finance or a 5-year. For the 3-year, we're looking at it'd be due 1 year from the time that we take the purchase. $153,944.60 annually for 3 years, and if we did 5 years, it would be $98,538.60. We're looking at a 7.3% lease rate. So, and that's on $400,000 is what we estimate the increase to do. So that was the two options that through U.S. Commerce, the benefit of the leasing service that Osage Ambulance uses. So that's some numbers that we've got for you guys.
Is that interest rate the same whether you pick the 3 or 5 year?
Now, if we do 5-year is 7.3, and the 3-year is 7.5.
That's based on today's rates.
Today's rates.
But we have to understand that we wouldn't be locking them in probably until,
27.
I would say 27. We'd be locking them in at 27, and our first payment would be due at 28.
That's the way I understand it. 1 year from the close. And closes. We call to confirm this closes when we take delivery. So
We could also shop the interest rate with our local banks.
So is this a lease or is it just financing the purchase?
It's a lease purchase.
finance ownership contract.
Okay,
It's a lease purchase.
gotcha.
Yeah, we did this.
I bought a lot of fire trucks.
Yeah, the last one we did is the real big budget.
Yeah, as I say, when it comes down to getting ready to do it, you just go to the banks and say, hey, here's what I got, here's what I can do, beat.
So Rebecca and I went over and met with Melissa Hunter at the hospital about their ambulance. Alderman Rucker's going to go over with them hopefully next week. I sent her a text earlier. They have pretty much a brand new ambulance up there that they got from COVID funds, and they hardly ever use it. Good way to say it. They don't have staffing for it. They kind of use it for long transport, taking people to Columbia, Jeff City. They'd like to find a way to work with us. I don't know if it's possible or not, but we were talking about possibly maybe next year, not this budget, but next year, them gifting it over to us and us adding on a second team of crew that we think down the road we'll probably need here in Osage Beach anyway because of the growth. So I don't know where that fits into for the budget this year, or what your plan is, but I just want you to know that we're pursuing that avenue. It's literally brand new, sitting there doing nothing.
Well, the thing about it is that I believe we need to move forward with this and that, because number one, this unit here that we'll be purchasing will eventually be replacing another one, which will keep us to be able to provide one ambulance service. We do need to expand to a second unit. And if we can work out something through the hospital, then that would make our adding that second service easier, because we wouldn't have to purchase an additional ambulance. We'd be able to use that ambulance and then had our staff in order to be able to be able to provide 2 units. So I think both of them need to be moved forward, since we need to be expanding to a second unit. That unit that could come through the hospital could be our second vehicle, and we just have to have the staffing. So this unit here is what we need to continue on with a one ambulance service. If that makes sense. Is that what you?
Right, because currently now, we would not, if we ordered this truck, we would keep our oldest truck that we have now as a backup.
Right.
For the 2 that we're running.
Okay. I mean, I'm no expert on ambulances, so I'm just letting you know where this process is that fits in. I know this.
I think what you're doing is good, and if they can come through it, that'll give us that availability. Like I said, rather than having to buy another ambulance and put on staffing to add that second unit, and I have some brainstorming ideas as well, but I think both of them need to be what we need to do.
So that was just for information. If that's, if the board decides that they want to move forward with the purchase of that ambulance, we would add that as a motion to a board meeting so that he could go ahead and place that order, knowing that. Okay. You ready to move forward with that at some point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did adding this ambulance cause us to cut anything else?
We're not adding the ambulance.
We're only-
It wouldn't be paid out of this
We're only-
fiscal year.
We're only authorizing the purchase.
Okay.
The money's not going to be. We're spending
Right,
money.
You're obligating future budget funds.
I know, I got it figured out. Yeah.
Right, yes.
I don't understand why we need 3 ambulances to run 2 ambulances to run 1. But we can talk about that later.
We actually need another one. But yeah.
Okay.
I'll bid it. You'll need a spare just in case one of the 2 go out.
Do we have a crew to operate the spare?
The plan will be, or in the future, that's what we're working towards. Especially if we start doing the hospital transports.
Yeah, that's part of the deal, is if we take that ambulance, we have to
Right.
do some of their transports.
Right. We'll change that with more people.
Right, correct. But I just look at it as, if we can get a really good, brand new ambulance, I'd rather invest in people rather than invest in another ambulance.
Okay, well, Chief will get that added to a board meeting so that we can get that motion and then we can move forward with placing that order. So moving on to capital rankings. If you look at the 5th page in your packet of the capital project rankings that we did in the first budget workshop, there's been a few changes. Under general fund, the drone has been cut. So the new interceptor through PD, the budgeting software, and the dog park restroom are the 3 projects in general fund that are funded. Under transportation, the Proctor drainage improvements has been reduced from $100,000 to $50,000, and the Ash Road concrete culvert project has been reduced from $350,000 to $330,000.
Can we back up just a minute? So
Sure.
everything on the general fund project as the NB by it is.
Not budgeted, right? Yeah, NB is not budgeted.
But we're just talking about adding a new ambulance, so it's just not budgeted for 2026?
Right. That the funds would not be expended on the ambulance in fiscal year 26. We would not expend the funds until 1 year after we take possession of the ambulance, which would be in 28.
I have 2 questions. One, we just did all this with Enterprise, and we still have to add an interceptor?
It was included.
It was included in that, okay.
Yes.
So I'll just be blunt about it. I'm not happy about losing the Peanut Park Pavilion. I don't know how that was interpreted to be the cut. Is that just because that's how things were
So
raised?
Eric and I talked, and since we're doing the playground this year, and this was meant to be done in phases, the playground would be done this year, and then the next year we would do the pavilion or whatever, the splash pad or whatever ranks next.
Okay, but that's not really answering my question.
Okay.
Did you cut it because it was lower on the ranking scale, or did you two just decide to cut it?
Well,
Suggested it actually condemns the fence. We're getting a very nice bathroom in the dog park, we're getting a playground, and although I hated suggesting it, suggestions on the cut. We could live another year without the building, I keep saying that.
But we're still getting the park equipment, I mean, the playground equipment, it's just the
Yes.
pavilion.
Just,
Staff
the
is-
playground is just gonna be scheduled for the next year.
So this is kind of coming from Alderman Osteen, since he can't be here. He wants to know how the determination was made that the pavilion should be the cut.
Like the votes. You look at it,
Yeah.
the votes right here.
And that's what I just asked her.
Oh, well.
That's not what she said.
yeah, I mean, it's both. It ranked low, and Eric was
Okay,
discussed it with me, and that,
okay, so it ranked lower than the other 3 that we're keeping, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and
yeah, these are in order of rank.
I just want to be able to call him and tell him what the answer was.
Right.
It was my suggestion.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's,
And again, I'm trying to look at the big picture, trying to balance everything.
this is again, just Bob trying to understand the process, and we kind of told you guys probably what happened, since he can't be here, he wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So then my second question would be, I really don't want to wait a year. Is there, I mean, do we have, what are the options? What other options do we have to keep it?
You could take it out of CIT. Because general fund right now is, like I said, not meeting reserve policy.
Okay,
So-
and how much do we have in CIT?
I'm projecting at the end of 26, 4.2 million.
And the pavilion costs 110,000,
Yes.
so we're talking not exactly like depleting it by spending 110.
Yep.
But that would be the only way, unless we were going to cut something else, correct?
I mean, at this point, we're $690,000 from meeting reserve.
Okay.
So you add 110 on that, or you reimburse it from capital
Right.
improvement tax.
I will
Well-
say, not to interrupt, I don't think this pavilion's gonna cost $110,000. I think there's a scenario here where we can do it in-house for $50,000 possibly. maybe if we had a little bit of help, you know, because it's all about when our season starts and priorities. I don't think it'll cost 110.
Well, that's good too. I'm just looking at it, yeah, we're doing it in phases, but now we really just kind of changed the phases. We set them all back a little bit further, correct?
Yeah.
But if we chose to, we could come up with a little bit of money out of CIT. That's really the only way to save them.
Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
Just a suggestion, maybe.
Yeah.
On the budgeting software, I know I'm not familiar with any of the software programs you guys mentioned, but I've done governmental accounting, and just using QuickBooks, and that's like $2,000 for a desktop version versus like $150 to $200 a month for an online version. So that would just, I mean, with having nothing that you currently use now, and still be able to get into something that's doing some budgeting forecasts, it's a lot cheaper than a $40,000 annual maintenance contract, and, you know, so just a thought, looking into
Sure. I don't know how Quicken works, but we're looking for something that can integrate with our finance software so that they can communicate. So I'm not having to do all of this data entry all the time. Also, these programs prepare that for the Distinguished Budget Award that we apply for every year. And so Quicken would not be able to do that.
money on the annual maintenance.
Sure.
That number seems crazy. 40,000 annual maintenance.
I mean, if you look at Michael's IT line for maintenance and support, that's all the softwares that are supported through the city. So we spend a lot on software support.
I think this was the most expensive one.
Yeah. Because we were,
But is this 40,000 maintenance, annual maintenance, does that cover everything that we have, or is that just for this particular software?
Just that software.
yeah, no, that would just be for the software.
So what do we spend on annual maintenance for other software?
Well, it's a lot deeper than just annual maintenance. Like Tyler Tech just throwing out, I think it's like $59,000 a year for our Encode software, our finance software. But that's software, modules, and maintenance and support. So it's
This is just maintenance, right?
yeah. I wasn't a part of the bidding this out, but I'm sure there's modules into this. I can't speak any further on that. But like in the on the Encode side of it, it's like 20 pieces, 20 modules that make up the whole conglomerate, and then the maintenance that goes for each one of those, specifically with Encode. I'm not sure how they structured.
There
this
were
piece.
modules for these as well.
Just the personnel fees, or just the O&M fees, or just the capital fees.
Yeah, this was for all of that,
Everything.
correct,
And creating a
budget document.
Is this used by the entire staff, or is this just department heads, or what?
It would probably just be department heads because, lower level staff doesn't usually contribute to the budget stuff.
Well, I don't know where everybody else is in this. I totally want you to have what you guys keep, but that number is shocking to me.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
I mean, again, and we've only demoed 3, I think, and we weren't going to move forward with anything until the board approved it. So we will obviously do more research and get the department heads input and figure out what's best for everybody.
I definitely think the budgeting software is needed. I just think there may be something else you could, you know what I mean, out there to look into or try.
Absolutely.
So the accounting software that we use doesn't have budgeting in it?
Does not.
How much should we pay on maintenance for the accounting software?
I think you said 59,000.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the details now, but again, the 58,000 is for maintenance, support, and every module that
For the
goes.
accounting?
It's financial, it's utility billing, it's accounts payable.
It's
Payroll.
it's everything. It's like I said, it truly is everything that we do.
That's crazy that they do not have a budgeting module on it. Yeah, I'm with both of them. I think that $40,000 a year for budgeting software is just.
I could accept it the other way around. 40,000 for the program, 25,000 a year for maintenance.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
But
I'm,
you're right. $40,000 a year to avoid data entry, which while I get, we could hire a person to do just
Have it feed in, just automatically, 'cause that's what Costco does, like.
Right.
I mean, we can lower that if the board wants us to lower the number, we can lower that number.
Well, there's no sense in lowering it if it's not a reasonable number, then you were gonna put it out to bid and then come in with a bid that's
And that covered what we
not
want.
covered, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've done your, I mean, if there are other programs out there that are that are less, that are acceptable. The only thing I will say is I believe that the budgeting program is needed. There's, you know, need to be critical, but there is some errors that could be made, and this will help eliminate them. Some of them, and I'm not talking about the time that's spent, but some of the areas where this kind of a program helps out, and that's valuable. The program itself, I don't have a problem. I have a problem. This seems like, and I agree, the maintenance seems way out. But
And just to finish up, to give you guys all the actual, it actually just came up. For the execu-time piece, which is all the clocking in and out of all the employees and the Encode side, next year will be in it.
This is on our current software, not the budgeting software.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Our Encode software, we're at 69,000. Now that 58 was just the Encode piece. The execu-time is obviously everybody, like I said, clocking in and out, leave and all that type of stuff. So total with Tyler Tech, we're in at about $70,000 a year for all of the modules, all of the finance, and all of the execu-time piece. Other similar prices are things like Microsoft Office 365. We pay anywhere between $48,000 and $50,000 for that product itself. The only other light comparable is like NeoGov. It has a $31,000 a year price tag with maintenance and support, and then everything else goes down from there. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of where it falls with everything else that we have.
And the yoga is like our onboarding software.
Yeah.
Our hiring application software. And this is, I mean, I know you said data entry, but it's so much more than that. It's got budget forecasting, capital asset forecasting, it's got the personnel in there,
It has the capital improvement plan and asset management module.
but also there's probably some.
well,
other
you can say to the
less.
board, it's just because we put it in the budget, we either gotta buy it.
That's exactly right. So
So if this is a budget line item and they put it out to bid and it comes back in at this, and we're still not comfortable with a $30,000 a year annual thing, we just don't accept the bid. I mean, I don't need to be negative, but we're not
No,
making
that's
the
where-
decision
I
to
mean,
buy.
That's where I'm at, so.
I think they're probably just so pricey because they are geared for municipalities, and that's where the price increase is coming from. So I'm just saying, just think outside the box, see if there's something else that's gonna be able to do what you want to get done, because I think there probably is some other
Sure.
things out there.
try to bring some options. Be nice.
Sure. We can do that.
Something I wanted to point out, just with the city clerk's office, and I found out this week, and it's right, you just hit the nail right on the head. We went through and we archived 10 years worth of records in the building department. Company came in and was talking to us about services they can provide. One of the things that we've learned, and one of the reasons why I think a lot of these programs are far more expensive than what in our mind. You know, what we're doing, we're just saving them into the cloud, and that's pretty simple. But anytime you get a sunshine request, municipalities that are under 50,000 residents, beginning in April of 27, everything has to be ADA compliant, which means they have to convert all of these files over. There will be language back behind these pages so that if somebody who can't read or who has bad eyesight or no eyesight, if they want to get something off of, or they get to a sunshine request, they need to be able to have that read to them from their devices. So rather than, you know, I thought, oh, this is great, we'll just store it in our storage, but we have to have it all converted. So maintenance, what that does is, as soon as you put something into it, the budget, it then converts all of that into ADA compliant material. And for those who are 50,000 and over, that starts this coming April. And the lawyers are lined up to see whose websites are compliant.
Yeah, it's not as expensive as what that's.
It sure will. Oh, she actually said the average settlement is $100,000.
Good times.
So is there any other questions on the capital ranking sheet and the changes?
Oh, just one more.
Sure.
I really wasn't expecting the drone to get cut originally. How vital is that to what you guys do?
At this point, we don't use it now, we don't have it now, so it's not a tool we can use, so it's,
Was your team
it's not,
Wrapping to have it.
it's not gonna break us.
I was looking wait a year to do this. Too good. Thanks.
Then the only other thing that changed was the, one of the lift station rehabs. Chris has pushed off 1 year. So 27-1 was pushed off. There's no other questions on that.
I have a
Sure.
general question. I got an email. I don't know if you're prepared to answer.
Yeah.
What can we spend CIT on?
So Cole, I did talk to Cole about that this afternoon. He said he would have to do some more research, but based on the state statute language and the language that was on the ballot for those tax dollars, he's optimistic that there are options for that, but he doesn't feel comfortable researching that if that's not the board's direction. So we would just need to know if what capital items you would like to be paid out of CIT, and then Cole can do some research on whether that's feasible or
So
not.
he needs some direction from the board if that's what.
Yeah.
I would just tell the board that I have a list here. I have a list here that I would like to see done out of CIT that we haven't done that would sure make a lot of difference in our budget. The short story is we would take our budget in general revenue and would balance it. That's the short story of it. Because we would, especially if it needs to be done yet this year. I believe the expense that we've done, and this is my own little brain, that we've done with the dispatch relocation. We've already spent $100,000 this year. We're going to spend another $340,000 next year. All of that should be CIT. There's the cars that originally I felt should be in my original statement. I don't know now, since we're leasing them and not purchasing them. That's why I think we should purchase them and they can fall under our CIT. With us leasing them, again, Attorney Rucker doesn't think we could use the CIT, but that's me. There's also the picnic tables, batting cage, the city park pole, the pavilion that we could do under CIT, that we haven't done in the past. So I think there's some more usage of CIT than we are using. There was $157,750 spent this year for the Veterans Memorial. I believe that's a CIT expense. Again, it's a improvement. It's going back to the state definition of what that definition is. That I've spent a lot of time trying to understand that and everything because of the capital program we've been working with the sewer board and setting up the capital program for that. So there is some that information. So I think that we need to move forward with directing our council to delve in and just see. These are my opinions, what I would want to do with it. Just because we tell him to go delve into it, it doesn't mean you're making a commitment to do it, but it's giving us those options that I believe we have not been given, that we can spend that money on that. That's right there is $500,000. Of money that could be in general, that we're taking out of general, that we could take out of CIT. So, I think we need to.
I would like to have the options.
I'm not asking you to make the commitment.
No, I understand. Yeah, I would like to have to know what the options are.
Whereas, I have a couple questions on that. One, I don't personally think dispatch qualifies. I see how.
I'm sorry, what say?
I don't see how dispatch qualifies as capital improvement personally. The Veterans Memorial, sure, but I don't see the public down there using the dispatch, so I don't really think that's capital improvement. If Cole says it does fall under it, so be it. It's my understanding that the CIT money was basically so we could do something big, and that's the board had been going that direction for years. And I don't know if that was soccer at the parks or what the overall vision of that was. Where is CIT? Where was it at 3 years ago? You know, because I don't really have a problem with what you're suggesting there. But if we've been depleting CIT from 8 million down to 4, and now we're going to do these projects, and in 4 years we're going to have 0 in CIT, then I think that we're going on a slippery
Well, you
slope.
get 3 million a year. That's your income.
Okay.
So I think, I mean, rather than going into the deep into it, which, you know, at some point I think that we need to find out our options. You know, just because we find our options, and let's just say we can do everything I want to do, that don't mean we have to do it.
Yeah, I have no
Obviously,
problem with it.
that's a vote. I think what Rebecca is saying, I agree. We should at least find out what our options are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And then we can, then we need probably really spend a workshop to delve into
Yeah, what we want,
what we're.
the long-term, like what our long-term plan is there.
And each one of us have those philosophical things. I respect your opinion on the dispatch. Well, maybe some of it, anyway. But I just think rather than spending all the time here trying to debate that, I think that we ought to just move forward and find out what our options are. Because if our options are just the dispatch, if our options are out, there's no sense in me having all my opinion. Legally, we can't do it, we can't do it.
I'm good with that. When we have that meeting, I would like to know where CIT was 5 years ago and what it's done incrementally to now.
So that's what it was in 22. It was 2.3 million.
So we have more than we did 5 years ago.
We have more than we had 3 years ago. I can pull up 5 years. I don't know what it was 5 years ago.
If you go to your
2020.
if you go to your workshop, your budget booklet that you sent us, and you go to the very last page, which is history, that'll give you the history of it. All the way to the end.
Is there a reserve and what they have to keep in?
One more. There you go.
No.
Or if you look up to
24 is not in there, but that would give you your CIT balances each year.
How much was it?
Oh, here we go. There's all your
I can't
numbers.
read that.
I can't read it either.
It was clear. There we go.
There you go. Better.
So in 2020, it was 2.5 million roughly,
Yep.
and it is
Roughly,
now
yeah.
what? 4.1?
Yes. What we have for this year.
So then, two questions. One, was the overall macro vision, did we say we wanted to do something big? Like as in before my time.
That was one of the alderman's positions.
Beginning of the year is
That was
2.5.
one alderman's
4.2.
position, yes. But I was opposed to that, so he was in favor, I was opposed. I can't tell you what the other one was, but there was one person that felt that.
But was it just him? Because I was late arriving to this feud.
What was the question?
Well, because I know, I don't know if you say it, Richard had, he was holding CIT back, I guess him and Gina kind of worked on this, so that that they're gonna do something big at the soccer field, or at the park, which, whether it was baseball, whether it was soccer, investing in like, trying to bring big tournaments down. I know Alderman Rucker was opposed to it, I wasn't really on board with it
You're
either.
the new kid.
Yeah, and I wasn't really on board with it either because that seems like pie in the sky a little bit to me. And I don't really know if I don't think soccer's that big a deal personally. So I'm all for looking into it for sure, but do we need to have any, is there a reserve minimum that we have to keep in CIT?
No.
Nothing.
There's not.
No state mandate?
Nope.
I would just say that I don't think we should go crazy and start depleting CIT and just build stuff. I think that we should have a game plan on, hey, we want to build these 5 things, and we want to keep the money minimum of $2 million in here so that we don't ever get in a situation where we have an opportunity to do something big and we just don't have any money.
Well, nothing hurts by having Cole give us options.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So I will have him do that research and we'll get back with you on that. Okay, moving on to the second page of your packet. So I tried to highlight the things that were either reduced or cut from the budget. I'll be happy to go to those specific funds if you want to look at them on the screen. But in general fund for new capital purchases between $5,000 and $25,000, the electronic voting software was cut, the break room vending machine was cut, and we reduced the GPS units from 8 to 7. And then for replacement and maintenance capital items, we cut the alarm detectors.
Which alarm detectors are those?
It's for City Hall. We replaced the control panel, the portal strobes are an older model. We're gonna update those to match. They do communicate now, but I feel like it would be best, before we get to the point where they won't communicate. Right now, the company says that they will communicate. We've got some special, call it a module, where they communicate.
But you cut it because you feel like you got a year or two still. Life in it.
Then under Public Works, there wasn't much change. General fund is the one that's mostly in trouble at the moment. But we reduced the pavement maintenance plan from 1.1 million down to 1 million.
How do you just reduce a pavement maintenance plan? What does that mean?
So we have a list of roads that are going to be maintained, and Jeff didn't feel like that 100,000 would hurt to cut out. That we should still be able to get the roads we have scheduled
So
done.
you think you could get the same thing for $1 million instead of $1.1 million or close to it?
I think it'll be close.
Then on page 3, for additional requested staff, Michael was willing to take his support specialist down to 6 months of 26, so we took that down, reduced that by half. And instead of having 2 college interns, we took it down to 1.
So you're bringing in that IT specialist in June or July or something?
Something like that.
That's the hope. Give us time to build some SOPs for a new position and hit the ground running.
Then on personnel expenditures, we did the 2.6% COLA, and then the merit chart that's printed there. Health insurance was a 5% increase. Dental and vision was a 3% increase, and then we cut the 1% match increase from the retirement. On revenues, based on what we've seen so far as of October, we're at 5.3 million. I'm fairly comfortable that we'll get around $500,000 each month for November and December. We should get those numbers here tomorrow, I'm hoping, maybe Friday. So I went ahead and increased revenue projections for this year and for next year to 6.3 million, up from 6 million. So that did help.
Revenue,
Uh-huh.
well, I understand. It's very difficult to do this on a computer. Say that up front.
It's 2025.
That's right, but I'm 74. Okay. First of all, on the revenue side, I believe that we are getting $70,000 or $54,000 roughly from the road district that they are going to be giving the city in reference to the Hatchery Road.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, follow me along here. If I follow the paperwork. We spent $97,000 and some change to get this project done out of parks, which is out of general. That $97,000 came out of CIT. The $54,000 that the road district is going to be giving us money back is coming back in on revenue on transportation. That's wrong. It shouldn't be coming in on transportation. Transportation didn't spend the money. General spent the money through CIT. We can't give it back to CIT. It ought to be an income that comes back into general, not comes back to transportation.
Carrie, how would we handle that?
Do interfund transfer.
The money hasn't come in yet, but when the money comes in, why can't it be, why should, you've got it shown in
transportation.
And I think it should, you need just to change that from transportation to general, and when the money comes back in, it needs to go into general.
Reimbursement.
I think it can be transferred from.
Well, however you guys want to do that portion of it, I don't care about how you put nuts and bolts in which one, but the bottom line is, I think that 54,000 is not a revenue for transportation. Transportation didn't spend it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Carrie, do you have any idea what fund that would go into if we were to do the transfer?
All the transfer funds are kind of the same account code.
I don't care what
I'm pretty sure we've had this discussion, because I have a note that says when that money comes in, I think it's like 10-0. I could look real quick, because I think we need to do a budget amendment and everything. We had this conversation, I think, and I have a note for December to look at that, so.
It's coming into account 2440-115. Now where it goes
Right.
into as far as general, like I said,
I was just gonna go ahead and take it out now if I knew what account to put it in.
I just would like to see it in general. You guys figure out what you bucket.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, the other thing under general, and I'm a little confused on, is the $1 million that we're getting from the Oasis. Now, that is shown in 2025 as a revenue.
Yes.
Okay, and I realize, which I had a problem with that, but that's, anyway, I got too deep into the beam. But anyway, the bottom line again.
It's not a common occurrence.
Right.
So-
Yeah, because when I was seeing that, I was like, we got it. But anyway, but the bottom line again, why is it even in general? Because that, I'm going to make just the opposite argument.
It's not,
Right.
yeah, I think, yeah, same.
Well, it's still
same,
showing
but the other direction.
in the 2026 budget, it's showing that it is a 2025 income in general. That's what it shows in the budget.
It's not in the actual approved budget. It's in it hit the financials because we had to generate an invoice, yes.
So I'm just saying, if we get the money in 2025, which, and I realize that we may or we're gonna get it. Okay, we're gonna get it in 2025. It shouldn't, if it comes to general,
Transfer it over to
it needs to be
general.
transferred over, but do you show it as an expenditure out of general since you showed it as a revenue in general? Because isn't that
It will
gonna
be a
screw up
trans-
general budget?
It will be a transfer, which is in the expense grouping.
So it's gonna make it eventually to transportation
Yes.
reserve or special account for, okay.
Yes.
However you guys,
I made a note for both of those things to follow up on when we receive those funds.
We have to spend it out of transport, right?
Yeah, we'll put it in a special account, just like we did the Parkway.
But we have limitations on what we can spend it on, don't we?
yes.
It's for Jeffries, yes.
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 But is Jeffries, where's Jeffries at? Is it at the stoplight? Or does it go all the way to the stoplight on 54, or does it stop on the on-ramp up right there?
It goes all the way to the parkway.
I thought it did too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it does.
Of course, the thing is, you can understand, the bridge itself is not ours.
Right.
So basically, you're only talking about from the bridge.
Right, I'm talking about from the Parkway to basically Oasis. There's that stretch right there is like part us and part MoDOT.
Yes.
And
I guess really the question comes back into is who puts the restrictions on it?
That's,
Do we, the board, put it on it, or are the restrictions coming from the Oasis?
I think it was restricted
That's
through
really-
the
that's really
Oasis.
what we gotta
I
find
think it
out.
was us. I think it was us.
I'm pretty sure there's some latitude in there for the board to make decisions.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I was more concerned about where's MoDOT in there to where we can't do what we want to do because MoDOT is in the way. Because,
Well, we'll definitely have to work with them when it comes to that time.
yeah.
But we definitely want to wait until that construction's done, so we're not
Sure.
ruining new
Hey, you-
infrastructure.
Do open the can of the worms. I'm just looking
Yeah.
in the can.
Well, the other question I have on, kind of on revenue, well, no, it's not, it's general. I'll leave this with you right now.
Is it general capital or general O&M?
It's general.
General. Okay,
It's just a real,
you can go ahead.
Might as well.
I found in the budget, throughout the budget, where we are constantly over budgeting for health insurance. And I understand why we're doing it, and I don't have an answer yet, but I got a couple of thoughts. And where I'm getting at, in case, for everybody up to bring us speed, when we have an opening in a position, we automatically say, okay, we're gonna have an opening, in January. We budget the full amount for health insurance, okay? Which is, I don't have the exact numbers, but it's $1,200-$1,400 a month.
And it's like employee only.
No,
Right.
that's the problem, for full family. Well, say it's $2,000, whatever. See, we budget for the full family, because we don't know what we're gonna get. Once we hire that person, they're either gonna be full family, they're gonna be single, or they're gonna be out through the buyout program, okay, one of those three programs. And just to give you an example, the buyout program cost the city $266 a month. For the full family, costs us almost $2,500 a month, $2,100 a month. So we budget for the full $2,500 a month. Now, when we hire that person, they come in at a lesser amount, and we have over budgeted that amount, and we do it all the time, and that hurts our budget at this time, because we have to budget for the max. I think we need to, I challenge the staff to come up with a better program, and then get the board to buy into it. One of those programs could be, is figure out what it costs for a single person, what it costs for a buyout person, what it costs for a family, average all that out, and instead of budgeting the $2,500 a month, maybe you budget $1,500 a month. It's gonna be wrong, well, no matter what you budget, it's wrong. But we are, every budget line item, putting in the maximum amount, and when we have a lot of vacancies or expansion, it's costing us, we're budgeting money that we're not gonna spend.
So it wasn't adjusted at the time, it was just a single person?
Well, it's adjusted, no, it's not adjusted until the next year. See, and so we're
So paying
constantly,
her family.
we're
the
constantly
whole
putting
year.
money into the bucket that we don't spend, and
And then money could be used elsewhere.
exactly.
But then
I'm
there's
not-
the
I'm not
other
trying to
side.
cut- I'm not trying
Yeah.
to cut any benefits or anything
Right.
like that. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to better focus, better estimate, better
Sure.
better use better estimate our money that we're spending rather than
Right.
completely on it.
I agree with that, but there's also the other side, whenever people sign up for insurance that have never been on insurance. And so then we go over budget
Well,
because we didn't budget properly.
but I think there's a happy medium here.
Sure.
And I think that's the numbers that maybe you could come back with, okay, this is what a person costs us for a year that's single. This is what a person costs us a year for the buyout program. And this is what a person costs us a year for the family. And maybe we can say, okay, well, we're not gonna budget this maximum, but we're not gonna budget the lowest, and come up with something and get the board to buy into it, so you don't get yourself in hot water halfway through the year when somebody says, why are we out of budget? You know, you guys budgeted wrong. No.
So let me have some.
Everybody can have a, I kind of think you have to budget for the full amount, and what if everybody you hire took the full
I mean, I would think.
Right.
everything, and it's not like we're talking about big dollars either. It's
Yeah,
Right.
How much you really
versus-
saving?
Right.
Like, how much is this gonna
Depends
help?
on how much openings, how many staff openings they have.
I mean, are we talking about
Right.
maybe 10 grand, or are we talking about hundreds of thousands? That's
We're not in the hundreds.
No, I mean,
Unless you choose-
what, we currently have 7 open positions, right? We had 10 at the end of Q3. We have filled, I think, 3 of those. And then you add Michael's, the 3 techs, and the department secretary, so you're adding 5 to that, so you're looking at 12 people at the max that would be open positions at the beginning of the year.
And that's spread.
Right.
Departments, funds.
Right.
Well, I mean, just
Right.
shooting from the hip here, what is the general, do most people take the full family, do most people?
I can't
It's
answer
spread
that.
out.
That's an
why I
HR
said
question.
I just challenge staff to do a little research on that, maybe.
What, okay, so if all 12 people were at the high end or the low end, what's that range? Do we know?
I think the range is somewhere between $266 a month and $2,500 a month.
So it's $2,000 per position, roughly?
Less
Per
than
month.
28
So
grand.
you're talking $24,000 a year per position.
Per position?
Per position.
Right.
Right, and if you've got 12
Oh, that's,
positions.
I mean, that's significant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
24,000,
that's,
Well, until
Times 12
until
is
the positions are filled.
$288,000.
Yeah, but that's if all positions weren't filled
All year.
So let's say the average turnover rate to fill those positions is 2 months, then divide by 6.
Okay, so hold on. So if there's 12 open positions on January 1st, then that leaves a budget gap of $288,000. We're gonna be able to determine how to adjust that gap the day they get hired.
we don't adjust.
It hasn't been adjusted.
Yeah, you'd have to
Next
do a
year.
budget amendment every time someone was hired
Somebody was hired.
just to fix it. And we don't typically do
See,
that.
I would just say make it 75% of 25.
And I think
Yeah.
that may be, I just think
A
that we ought.
compromise.
I
We
think
can do
ought-
research
I think
on
it ought to be looked at.
Sure. We can do that.
Because, again, it could be leaving some money on the table that we could be spending. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
I,
$288,000.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not 200,000. That would be every job, so that's not.
No. If all
You
12
budgeted
were
288.
hired on January 2nd, and they all took the lowest cost, then, right, then it's $250,000.
Yeah, we can do research on that.
I just think that
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to reserves.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think maybe easier to just budget all of it and then just do a budget amendment every time, so it's time. That's just like take the savings.
there's still money left on the table that you can't be budgeting.
Well, not here, you're right. It's true.
So for the reserve, that dollar at the top has changed a couple $1,000s. We're at $690,204 now for meeting general fund policy. From the preliminary research that I've been able to do, GFOA recommends a 2-month reserve. In reality, if a natural disaster were to occur and reserves were needed due to no incoming revenue, capital projects would shut down and we would strictly focus on maintaining services and continuing internal operations. With this in mind, if capital expenditures were deducted from what's currently in the budget now, this would take down the required reserves to right at $4.5 million. Based on the current proposed reserves that we do have and unrestricted cash, we're at 4.3, making us 102,465 short. I will do more research on this in 26, but this is just the preliminary research I was able to find from GFOA. So in my opinion, we are not $690,000 short in the reserve that we need, but we are $690,000 short in the reserve that we need to meet our current policy.
And our policy was set by us, correct?
Correct.
State mandated.
Yeah, no, it's set by us.
Do we agree with that?
Yes, I was, and to be very honest, we had nothing. We had no policy, and it was kind of like every year is what we felt, what was felt. And again, I'll have to go back to what your statement was. I was a rookie that year. So I was just kind of floating along. But I do remember it, and there wasn't, it was just the best guess. This kind of information that Devin has here, I'm willing to bet that probably wasn't even available, or if it was, maybe we didn't know to reach out for it. It was just the best guess that we should do something.
So do you think that we need to open that can of worms?
Oh, I
Take a look
definitely-
at our general
I
policy?
definitely
It's
think
been
it's,
that long, 15 years. 18.
I think it's definitely something that needs to be
Address.
revisited. Plus, the other thing is that, and I'll throw it out real quickly here, is that when we look into it, I know we have individual funds that we need to look at, but we also need to look at collectively, because let's face it. I'll clean this up. Yeah, that's what I thought I was saying. If something goes bad, really bad, okay, we're gonna take money from wherever we got. You know, we could take money, I mean, Carrie's gonna be over there pulling her hair out of us, but we're gonna take money out of transportation to get us through the year. Now, we can pay it back, or and is somebody gonna slap us on our hands, or is somebody gonna take us to court? Maybe eventually, but tough. You know, if we gotta take money out of transportation to pay salaries because we got a big disaster or whatever, we're gonna make things work. But right now, the way we're set up with each individual fund solving or taking care of its own little disaster. And I think that's another area that if you look at, we need to look at the big picture. And that's another discussion. So,
Well,
You need
just
to have at least a couple months of operating
Yes.
reserves, like that's.
Yep.
Sure. What, the current policy is 2 months of reserve?
no.
No.
Oh,
The current policy is 25% for general and transportation. I think it's 16 for water and sewer and 8 for the airports. How those percentages were arrived at, I have no idea. That's
Well,
just what was in them.
We should, even if it was totally spot on, we should be looking at something more than once every 18 years.
Right.
It was just, it was done by,
Good intentions.
Good intentions, and like I said, we didn't have nothing. It's like, we need to have something. And did we go overboard at the time?
Maybe.
Right. So that's why I say GFOA's recommendation is 2 months of operating expenses.
The other thing, if you will, when you go down that rabbit hole and dig it out, find out what, because this has always been a problem with me, find out what you do once you have used up a reserve. For example, let's say our reserve is $500,000, and we have a bad year, and we use up, and we drop our reserve down to 400,000. Okay, how quickly do we get our reserve back up to 500,000? That's something that we according to our ordinance, we don't have anything in there that says once you drop below, you know, you rebuild them over a course of 2 years, 3 years, you know, a percentage each year, or something like that, because we don't have that. We ran into this problem a couple of years back. We ran into reserves, dipping our reserves in sewer, and then we were all faced with, okay, I guess by ordinance, we have to get our reserve back up to 100% next year. Well, we didn't.
That doesn't seem
And,
possible.
well, but according to the ordinance, we probably should have. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, I can research that as well.
20% of years.
But I just kind of wanted to give a little comfort that, in my opinion, we're not bad off in reserves. If you look at it from the big picture area,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
you know, we're not meeting our policy by any means, and we're significantly short in general fund. But if you look at the big picture, I think you're fine in reserves. And again, reserves are for, Cole's example is the dam breaks, and there is no more lake. I mean, it's, well, you know, it's something that you are not receiving any income. It is, and more than likely, there's going to be government assistance coming your way for something. It may be a while, but it's coming. So,
And depending on what we come up with on CIT, if there's any movement on that, we could spend a couple $100,000 from CIT. We're right where we should be.
Right.
So we're getting ready to approve a budget that doesn't meet our own policy?
That's correct.
Yes, but we need to change, I believe we need to change the policy.
But we have.
No, but we can. That's why we get voted in and we make the big decisions.
And we've done that before where we voted a budget that didn't meet policy. And that's the problem.
I think that's very much putting the cart before the horse. I think you should change the policy before you do it. Okay.
Put it on the agenda next week then.
All you gotta do is put it on the agenda next week to abolish it,
I mean,
and you don't have to.
Look, in theory, I agree with you, but, you know, sometimes when you know the path is gonna end here, you gotta make decisions that are gonna make it easier on everybody. So,
Unfortunately, the only way to meet reserve and general fund on the policy would be to take from CIT. Unless you just start cutting, I mean, you're already in general fund way less in operating than you were this year.
we could always jump back to that if we wanted to take money out of CIT, we can do that anytime, really.
Right.
I understand, I guess my question is, why are we making some of these purchases if it doesn't follow our own budget policy?
Well, because the budget policy was set, I mean, the general fund reserves was set 18 years ago. No one's taken the time to fix it.
So,
That's the only one we're not meeting.
Yeah.
And we could possibly be meeting that based on.
Cole's research.
If Rucker, Attorney Rucker here, opinion of what we could do with CIT is that you are correct. Because we could be taking some of this money out of CIT that would balance it to meet our, what you're concerned about is our ordinance.
we could also just spend less.
You want to spend 500,000 less.
I mean, maybe,
Tell me how you want us to do that.
well, I don't know, because I didn't know this until right now, so.
I think we move forward and if we already see that our ordinance is probably out of date. I just think we move forward with it.
I mean, I would agree with you, but we had changed the ordinance 2 years ago, and now, and we thought it was right, and now we're just all of a sudden changing it again because we want to spend more money.
So
That's
I
why.
understand that, but like for the last 4 years, have we followed the policy, or has it not been followed for 10 of those 18 years? Like, is this the first time we're not gonna follow this policy in 18 years? Because that seems problematic to me. We have the policy.
I don't have an answer to that. I don't recall doing it.
Well, we didn't follow it when, I know a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't with sewer. And sewer, we dipped into the reserve sewer, and sewer was not met for a number of years. I will tell you
sewer's
that.
its own animal here, so.
Well, you're talking about reserve, but you're talking about the ordinance.
I understand.
And I'll also tell you that, the historic side of me says, if you go back to day one, when the ordinance was passed, which I believe, and I was part of that, I, as an alderman, screwed up at that point because I passed an order that we did not oblige by for a number of years because we couldn't. We were putting money away each year. It took us multiple years to do that. So, and the board just said, we're just gonna move forward. So there's a little history for you. Exact numbers, exact how many years, I don't know. But I think if it's something that's concerning to you, it's not me, and I'm willing to move forward.
I agree.
But I also don't want to forget
No.
doing something with the reserve policy. And I will even go one step further to have something done within the first quarter of next year.
We can do that. Yep, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Just trying to help you there.
I did.
Oh, you can go and vote no when it comes time.
Right.
Guys, I get it.
Right.
Just saying. I'm trying to say, I kind of like your plan, and I'm shocked that it was 18 years that we haven't looked at it. So I don't have a problem.
I am too.
Because it was the first year that Kevin was here, that policy was written.
Pretty sure the
reserve thing was in 2016, right? First year.
Yes. Okay, so 9 years.
I was just saying 18 years was 5 years, so I thought it was right after I came in, maybe not.
Just to.
Okay, so now we can go over the general fund operating and maintenance review. I listed out all the things here that have either been reduced or cut altogether. Again, general fund is the one that is in trouble. All the other funds are okay. So if you want me to go through these line by line, or does anybody have any questions on them, or?
Can you just go over and sit the review?
Sure.
What is the $25,000 for the insurance bid analysis?
So that was brought up during the last budget workshop whenever Alderman Osteen talked about us going out to bid for our health and property and liability, all of our insurances, and I did not realize that those are, in the past, have always been evaluated by a third party. And so Carrie was able to find our previous vendor that we used for that, and we used that as a budget number to do the evaluation.
I'd like to talk about that for just a second. First of all, I don't want to go off the bid at all, but I do understand that the majority of the board does, okay? But also with that, I have had some conversation, and I believe there's a number of board members that are comfortable with only going out for bid for property and casualty. I, again, would not even want to do that, but in looking at what I believe is what the board wants, I think the only thing that the majority of the board wants is property and casualty. So with that being said, would that 25,000 be able to be reduced if we're not going out for our workers' comp and our health? Because I believe the health insurance is what takes a lot of work to do the comparisons and everything on that. The P&C, and again, later time, I'd be happy to debate why we shouldn't even be doing that, but just for budget purposes, I think we could be able to reduce that number down to something less for just the P&C.
Bob and I talked last night. I was actually calling today to reconfirm that we already talked about it. He wants to put out liability, property, and liability,
Well, they call it P&C.
P&C cash. Don't mess with health. Don't mess with benefits.
Not.
One, kind of feel like maybe that's going well, and two, it's really, I think that's overtaxing the staff to put it out to do all of that. What's that?
I wouldn't do it all at the same time.
Well, a number of years ago, when we were doing it regularly, we would only do one, and next year do another, and then that's.
So what, Bob's on board with that?
I think we could reduce that number down.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So in 2012 was when we went out to bid for property and liability. We paid Charles for like $7,000 then. Those issues paid like a third party to consultants.
To compare the two bids?
He actually, they will advise us on creating the bid, because there's a lot of issues with stopping one and going to a new one. There's a lip over and a lip under of how things are covered, and so they help you write the proposal, they help you analyze the quotes, and I'm sure there's more to it than I can remember since 2012, but it is, with all the assets that the city has, it's not easy.
So I think,
The new coming insurance, like.
right, I think that's on the broker to
No.
provide that.
No.
Okay, I won't talk.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's all right.
I said I'm sorry.
In my experience, that's on the broker to provide that service of comparing bids that they get from additional companies.
So you would be recommending that the city go out to bid for a broker and
Correct.
leave that up to them to provide?
Yes.
Versus this, Charlesworth, what we've done in the past has been an independent consultant that does not sell insurance.
Okay?
He is only here to advise the city, so he is not a broker.
Yeah, I think that we should start with the broker, and I know that Bob agreed, I know that this is the way that Bob is leaning also. I think that we should start with the broker and see what they come back with. It may not be fruitful, it certainly may not be worth spending $7,000 to $25,000. I don't think any of us want to spend $7,000 to $25,000 to save 8 to 26. Like it doesn't, so I think that the thought process was sending it out to a broker for them to bid it out to insurance companies and make their recommendations.
Broker will be making money as well. It won't be as evident as the
Yeah,
7,000.
of course they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll
of
be
course
built
they do.
into that, so it'll just be, this is a third party, unbiased, consultant looking at these, whatever their things, just, there is an expense to that as well.
Of course there is, but generally for insurance brokers, they're paid by the insurance company. So it is less of a cost to us going through a broker than it is going through a paid consultant.
Our insurance company does not pay a broker. First of all, are we?
Could be ours. Could be ours.
No, that's expensive. I guess the question here is, are we going to determine and have discussion based on how much money we want to put in the budget or the process? Because if we're going to debate the process, I wasn't prepared for that, but I would be more than happy to do it. But do we want to talk about the process or do we want to talk about the money?
I think it's premature to talk about the process, and I'd rather not do it with Bob not here anyways. He was one of the people leading the charge on this, so.
I agree.
I think that we shouldn't have that conversation without him. I was speaking only on budgeting $25,000 for the review. Because if it's gonna cost us $25,000, I'm not sure I wanna do it at all.
Would you like me to lower that to 10 maybe? And just do property and liability?
I'm not sure. I'm kind of leaning towards what she's saying here. Like, what are we getting for that 10 grand? It doesn't seem like anyone really knows. I think we should know what we're going to get for that before we budget anything else.
Well, that's why I said, do you want to get into that debate? And I think that in respect to Bob, he didn't want to. I just brought up the fact that if we're going to go out, we're either going out and we're going to not have somebody be our in-house expert, or we are. And if we are going to have somebody do that, we can get it done for, I believe, less than $25,000. I think we probably can get it done for 10 or 12 based on what we paid back a number of years. It wouldn't hurt to make a phone call to the folks that we've used multiple times in the past to ask them what the going rate is for them to do a property casualty.
Is this, and I'm starting to feel like we're doing this because none of these bids are going to come back and no one really here is an insurance expert. So this person is going to give us their neutral opinion on those specific things.
That's
Correct?
the short and sweet of it, yeah.
That's how we've done it in the past.
And that doesn't make sense to me because I would say, I think we're all highly skilled people. We have great people in the room. There's probably no insurance experts in there.
Could we just move forward with getting the bid from the broker, then see at that point if there's something that we're gonna do, and if there is, just do a budget amendment for it?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we could. I like that.
Yes.
It's really what we're doing there is do the broker, and then if we want to go hire somebody,
If we're not comfortable at that point in time, then we can determine, get a third party analysis, or decide, hey, it's not worth the cost savings, or there is no cost. I mean, there's a lot of different outcomes, but let's start with the free part.
I mean, I'm just saying if you budget the 10,000, and then we go through the process, we didn't have to hire that consultant, then we could just put the 10 grand back in the general.
Would you like me to remove the 25,000 or put it down to 10?
I don't care. I'd take it down to 10, sure.
I think that's it, but I think we need to have some further discussion as to how we're going to proceed.
Certainly.
it's an agenda item, and it's gonna need to be an early agenda item, because if we're gonna go through all this process, we need to be doing it within the early part of the second quarter, because our insurance comes due in July. We need to be talking January, February on the process.
Right. I reduced it down to 10. Is there any other questions on the general fund O&M items that are there?
To the Dogwood Animal Shelter contract, I know it got voted down. I have been in contact with her. I'm gonna see if I can get the two Novos to go out and meet with me out there with her, and we're gonna try and develop a plan that makes sense on her dog angle.
Okay.
You guys are looking
And Bob and I were both fine with budgeting $10,000 a year for it. We just weren't comfortable with allocating the entire, just, here's your $10,000. We didn't have any dogs this year.
So I think we're gonna be able to save it in some capacity. So I don't know if we need to budget something
Put the
for it now.
$10,000 back in.
If you're gonna do it like that, you might wanna think about doing more for it, because this is the no-go now.
Announce it over.
Yes, because I've done some more research and I'm close to what that program was. I'd be happy to go into discussion on it, but
Well, okay, I mean, I guess we can just leave it out, and if we come up with a plan, we'll come back and bring it to the board. I didn't realize there was more to it.
And if I need to add it back in before final adoption, we have 30 days.
I mean, it's probably gonna be a completely new pitch now, so.
Any other questions on general fund O&M?
Can I just ask, like, what the methodology is for choosing what gets cut and what stays in?
Some of it comes from the department head. Some of it was, I got to make it work.
Okay.
And like, for example, there had to be one department that wanted $150 for an office chair, and there was somebody else who wants $350 for an office chair. So I try to, let's make them, an office chair is an office chair. Like, let's even it out a little bit type thing.
I'd probably just go and ask which department head, what can you give me, like, what?
Yeah, I did do that. Yeah, and then there were some things that I cut off the top just to make things match a little bit. Trying to get it down to this, because general fund is the one that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, this is all, for lack of a better word, it's all ticky-tacky stuff.
Right.
It's not major capital.
No. But it all, in the end, makes a little bit of a difference. If there's no other questions on that, we'll move on to CIT. So again, since the pavilion was removed, I took that amount out of CIT. One thing that is good is that our trend for supplementing the sewer department is on a downward trend, and that's good. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's the line of history. Whoa. Shows you what has been given to the sewer department in past years, and we're down to 1.3 million. We were as high as 3.7 million a couple years ago. So
When you raise the rates, it helps.
it does.
On the utility rate, is there like a amount, for the 1% increase? Like an estimate of what that?
I have the same question. What is the utility rate increase? How does it affect, what is the total that it affects the revenue?
So
Is that the question? Or
Yeah,
am I asking you?
I was wondering, like, what that 1% would amount to?
so
Got it.
in water, it's about $90,000, and in sewer, it's about $320,000.
And that's the 2.5 plus the penny?
Yeah. And Carrie ran those numbers through our financials, or our finance software.
I did not bring them back up.
That's,
I mean, this is almost pretty much just inflationary.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Right.
So there was a couple reductions in transportation, water, and Lacey Fine. Not huge, but wanted to make you guys aware.
Were there no cuts in airport?
No cuts.
Yeah.
The only thing that we reduced was maintenance and repair under Lacey Fine.
Yeah. Just want to make sure that fuel truck didn't escape on there.
Nope, fuel trucks in.
All right.
On the airports
Yes,
in general,
yes.
you need to look at the fuel's income and the fuel's revenue.
I did do that after you and I discussed it.
Well, it's still from leasing fine, for example, aviational fuel, we're gonna spend $100,000 to buy, and we're gonna. I'm waiting for the council.
I'm sorry.
In aviation fuel, at least fine, we're spending $100,000 to buy fuel, and we've got $120,000 in revenue. Okay, so that's a 20% bump up, which is fine. Then when you go to jet fuel, we're spending $500,000, but we're getting $670,000 in revenue. It's a 34% bounce up. And then when you look at Grand Glaze, we're spending $60,000 in AV fuel, and we're getting $100,000 in revenue. But then on jet fuel, we're spending $25,000, and we're only getting $6,300. We're losing money. So
Yeah,
the
so
accounts don't bat when you look at the expenditure side and the revenue side.
I'll have Ty look at it again. My guess is that it also has to do with what he has on hand. So like if he fills those tanks up on December 30th, you know, he's selling what he purchased this year versus,
Okay.
you know, I would say that's part of the
From
discrepancy.
25 to 26 to 24, I didn't, if that's it, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and even when I looked, I charted it out historically, and it's always been all over the board like that. So that's my guess. I'll have to talk to Ty about it though.
Can you also determine how fuel rates are set? How he comes to the price point that he comes to? Because if you compare us to surrounding airports, we are way more expensive for our fuel than surrounding airports. That discourages people from going, say, for Phoenix to Chicago, stopping here with fuel. They go to Camden because it's $1.50 cheaper. Why figure out at least. It is. I know that Ty sets it. I just don't understand the method. Like I understand in the summer that obviously we're the destination, so it makes sense to.
I think right now.
For them to pay a premium to land there and refuel, I get that. But in the off season in particular, I feel like we should really be in line with the surrounding airports to encourage people to stop at ours.
I would agree. I think I asked this question maybe last year. I think Ty kind of has discretionary control to set the rates where he wants.
He uses a margin, and then he often calls
Yeah, it's like
around to the
10%.
other, but it's when he gets a load of fuel, from what I understand, there's a margin that he uses, and he checks with the other airports.
So I don't really know what I'm just trying to throw Ty under the bus and not here to defend himself, but I think we need to look into how we're setting those rates and how he's doing it to make sure that we're staying competitive.
I did shop around. I actually talked to several people and they sent me like the apps that you can compare fuel prices for at airports. And I talked to 6 or 7 people that were like, oh yeah, I stopped in Camden, and I specifically don't stop at AIC, which I didn't know was AIC until last week anyway. I don't stop there because you guys are always more expensive. And $1 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you need 2,000 gallons of fuel, $1 is a lot.
Yep, we can check into that.
And it's my understanding that regulation piece you were talking about is something about once you get a limit of fuel, you can't vary that margin on that particular road or something.
Okay.
You can't
If
price
that
it.
gets into galloping and something like that, and so there's a little bit to it, but we can have, I think that's.
I think we need to put it across this.
I'm
sure we shot
Yeah,
somewhere.
like it's not.
Well, if anybody has any other things they want to talk about, that's all I had on the agenda.
I can't find my notes, so I'll have to work off the top of my brain here. In your budget booklet that you sent out, you have 2025 projections on year-end expenditures, incomes, et cetera.
Yes.
And I would like for you to look at it and see if your projections are correct. If they are, if you could bring an explanation back, because in transportation and water, well, let me say it, transportation, water, and sewer, we made some adjustments with the salaries in reference to the, change from foremen to supervisors, okay? And there was a bump up in pay and everything. We were presented that program July, May, sometime earlier in the year, okay? And we were presented it, and it was my understanding we were presented it in such a way that, based on, for a lot of reasonings, there wouldn't be any change in the budget adjustments needed. That we would be within budget by doing all this because of a lot of reasons. I mean, this was presented. Based on what I look at your projections year in, I believe transportation and water both are over budget on salary. And if that, I'd just like to know why they're over budget. Because the information that the board was given was that to make these adjustments, there was a lot of reasons, et cetera, but there would be no budget adjustment either. It wouldn't cost us more money than what we already had budgeted. And now it's costing more.
So my guess is again, that comes to that 27th pay period.
This is more, in my opinion, than the 27 pay period.
Okay. Yeah, we can go back and look at that.
Because I took, again, I didn't have all the nitty-gritty numbers, but I basically took that number, divided it out by 27 and multiplied it back by 26, and still was out of budget.
Okay.
So if it's out of budget,
Needs to be looked at.
I just don't need to know why.
Could you, I know you're not gonna know this off the top of your head, but could you send me the cuts that were made, kind of a breakdown of which department they came from? So like, if you take, we cut $50,000 out, 20% of that came from public works, 10% came back from, police, and just kind of send a breakdown of where the cuts came from?
So I have it broke down on the sheet that way.
Okay.
So, well, I guess not like personnel. I broke personnel out on its own, so I didn't have that in there. Yeah, I can try to do that.
So the amounts for each item is here.
Right.
That's valid. I could just, I can do that.
That
Yep,
is here.
that's fine. I can do that.
Yeah, the only thing that wouldn't be in those amounts is the personnel stuff.
I would like to know what got cut out of public works, if anything.
The pavement maintenance plan was taken down to 1. Pavement maintenance was taken down to 1 million from the 1.1 million. Their vehicle maintenance was cut due to going to enterprise.
I'm sorry, what was it?
Vehicle maintenance. line item was taken down due to going to the enterprise lease. Transportation had mobile devices reduced.
So right here.
Yeah,
So under transportation. Receiving lights. So we lost Three Seasons streetlights? No? The only thing we lost is,
So I think it's just this $100,000 that was reduced
is that the
in
only
the
thing?
payment maintenance plan, and then
and then the mobile devices and the vehicle maintenance.
where's the most?
It's on the very back page. Under O&M.
So it's vehicle maintenance.
Got it.
So vehicle maintenance was reduced by 10% and
Vehicle maintenance was reduced by 50%
And that's because of the
due to
new
enterprise.
program. So you can
So if
always-
you take out those vehicles, then it was reduced by the $900 here and $100,000 on the other thing? Is that about right?
Yes.
okay, so does this sound right? Vehicle maintenance reduced by 50%, pavement maintenance plan reduced by 10%.
Correct.
That's it?
Well, that's just transportation. Water reduced their repair of system by 50,000.
But it was all just percentage reductions, right? We didn't lose anything specifically.
No.
And it wasn't it reduced because they felt like they could still get by?
Yes.
They weren't cutting something, they just felt they didn't need
Right,
that
they
much.
just reduced the amount of spending.
Yes. And then sewer had one lift station that was cut.
Yeah, the reductions.
There.
Okay, that's it.
Does anybody want to go over these other supplemental pages that I gave you? The employee pay plan, does anybody have any questions about that? The only added position this year was the IT support specialist.
Wait, so did we cut the Secretary of Public Works?
No, but that's already listed in the pay plan.
Okay,
Like, this is just position titles.
so we didn't lose any of the employees we were gonna add, did we?
No, we just put his down to 6 months.
Cut his,
Uh-huh.
but he's a team player.
He's a team player, yes.
What we're supposed to talk about on yours tomorrow night, is that included in this?
It's included in the budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Was there, but that's just an approval for that position tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For him to proceed with filling it as an administrative assistant.
And there wasn't any change in, you sent that email out, there wasn't any change in what it was from the last time we talked, right?
Correct. The only reason it's on there is because it's not listed in my organization chart for 2025, and I didn't want to post the position if it's not listed.
Right.
Okay. Otherwise, I'd have to wait until approval of the budget being.
Yeah.
So you get the high.
Yeah.
100%. That's what
It's gonna go.
Any questions on the capital sheets? It's just a one-shot glance at all the capital items for each department. The pink ones are the carryover projects from, and I even messed up the airport. Those aren't supposed to be highlighted. None of those are carryover. Just saw that. Then the personnel schedule, there's the 5 positions, the 5 more bodies that were added, just reflected on there. And then the all fund summary, which has changed a little bit even through, I took it down to 675.
So if, Does that mean that this is, you got a budget to bring to us in 2 weeks?
Yep.
For approval?
Yep.
So, I think the process went really well.
Thank you. Yeah. That, if nobody else has anything else, that's all I have.
I mean, I'll just leave it, the only thing that what I'm trying to say is the pavilion, I really don't want to slow down. I think we've made a lot of progress with our parks. I think our parks were kind of bad shape, rough shape, 3, 4, or 5 years ago. I don't really want to slow down on that. I think we need to keep making improvements, and I hear so much good feedback about how well we've done with the parks. I want to keep that going. That's my other 2 cents.
Well, would the board like me to add that back in?
I would like to have some more input. Well, from a budget standpoint, I guess we probably, I just like to hear how Eric can do this for less. And maybe we've got to approve the dollars, but not approve the purchase. Because even though I hear that, I'm a little concerned about how much we have staff do stuff. Not that they're not capable, but there's only so much time the staff has to do the normal stuff. And if we start adding extra stuff of building a pavilion, what's that take away from?
Well, even if we budget the 110 that's in here, when it comes in under, just make a budget and move it back to CIT, that's where it's coming out of, right?
Right.
But
Or here's another option would be we could go ahead and budget the 10,000 to do the design and then bid it and then see if it comes back in a reasonable price. Then we could always do a budget amendment mid-year after we know what sales tax is going to do.
yeah, I like
I
that.
think that's a better way.
All right.
Point out that we're gonna have designs for you
Oh, they are?
this week. Yeah, there's.
Okay.
Overhead budgeting for that, and having that, something to refer to moving forward. So
Okay.
he just sent me an email and said, well, that's ready probably.
Okay.
And then the general designs and the estimate.
Okay.
Saying they'll have you design stuff for you. Well, maybe definitely it'll give you a better feel for something you feel that you could do within house. Maybe after you look at design.
Well, just to be very clear, we're not talking about like Taj Mahal.
Right. I know you do.
We're talking about something a little nicer than the Pond Pavilion, but bigger to accommodate 75 to 100 people.
You're looking at still.
Then over the top, especially if we're gonna build it in-house, and I'm very confident we can. If Public Works would help us out a little bit, especially the concrete, the rest of it, with very talented park staff. Weather cooperates in the wintertime, and we have to demo the baseball. So that's gonna take time. Sorry, Justin.
I was glad you
It's time to move on, Justin. It's time to move on.
I still think I should use some kind of statue.
You should go write your name in the concrete.
So, just so you know, I was really opposed to tearing that baseball field up originally, but I know it's better for the city. So, if we've already got plans back and you feel confident that we can do it in-house, I mean, I just right over this budget 75, and take it out of CIT and be done.
The plans, I don't think would be over $5,000, according to the designer. I think it's not, it's not gonna cost $10,000. I know that.
Right.
It would be substantially less than that. It's not a complex project.
Right. Would you like me to budget 75?
Yeah, I would like to do it, make it happen in whatever way you and Eric think the best way is to do it. Just let us know.
So be it.
I will
Always
add
sound realistic.
75 back in and we will do everything we can to keep it as low as possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that is like you said, really choices,
We do actually rent that too. We rent a little bit. It's a mini
We read
rent.
it, it'd be very popular.
Yeah. You know what, $300 a day?
We're like 50?
It's less than 50. good
The
4
main
hours.
reason we have a rent is not so much to make money out of it, is to make sure they show up when they make the reservation.
Even if it just pays for the maintenance.
Right.
People are
That's
just
really
fighting
what it is.
over who
So
was
somebody
doing
say,
it.
oh, I'll just reserve it and don't cost
I'd
me.
add that this would be the second phase of the 3-part improvement plan, which is the third phase would be the splash pad.
And that's the other thing, I want to get to that splash pad.
Splash pad is huge. That,
Okay, cool, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Anybody else have anything else? Well, before we ask for a motion to adjourn, I'll just thank Devin, April, Gary, all the staff, special thanks to Public Works for the department here again, and the board. This has been a good process that we built up last year, and you can have this ready for the board to look at when.
Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I will have it wrapped up.
Thank you, everybody, for a job well done. Get some rest Monday and Tuesday. With that being said, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Alderman Hoffman, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Rose, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any adjourn, thanks, folks.